Crooks Mansa alongside John, you know? I know you want to close my eyes, girl, I see you in my dreams.
We are back with another video, ladies and gentlemen. So this one is about the M5. You know, I think we all know about the dreaded rod bearings when it comes to the V8s and the BMWs, specifically BMW V8s. So I wanted to get my rod bearings done because I haven't really been able to enjoy and push the car. But while dropping the oil, the mechanic saw like the rod bearings were already started to like flake out. This car has about 46,000 miles if I remember correctly. So this is where I'm gonna show you what we found when we went down there. I'm gonna input the video now. Oh yeah, you got it good there. Oh, whoa. All right, you saw that? Crazy. Very shiny metal flakes. Did not expect that. It's okay though. Caught it in time, didn't do anything. Engine was healthy, beautifully running great. Something just told me not to drive it and wait. Anyhow, I decided to pull the trigger. Why not? Just to make sure everything is safe. Of course, they're cutting the grass now. Just to make sure everything is safe and good. We went ahead and went full Monty. And when I'm talking about full Monty, I'm gonna show you exactly what I mean. Let's go back down to the mechanic shop, show you where we at. All right, ladies and gentlemen, and let me show you where we're at right now. Last video, like I said, we did the oil analysis. We saw the rod bearings were hurt and escalated quickly. It escalated very quickly. So this is my block. Crank, pistons. Yeah. This is my stuff as well. The good news is that everything so far looks to be pretty good. Luckily, knock on wood, no damages. But we're not gonna go back in with these. They're already out. We're not gonna go back with the factory stuff. But let me show you guys how bad these rod bearings are. Like, bad. They were on their last leg. It's not even just the connecting rods, also the main bearings. The main rods were also horrible. So this is stuff we don't talk about. We don't talk about the main. We always talk about the rod bearings, but we never really talk about the mains. That's stuff that we have to check as well. I would have never thought 46,000 miles that they would look this bad. But they were really, really cooked. Yeah. So, as you can see, this had turned to a rod bearing job to now we're going full on. It's going to be a full build. Might as well. Show you guys up here. Yeah. So everything is going. We're going full on. Might as well. I want to be one of the first S63 manual transmission with a build motor, which is pretty unique. You don't see much of the 6-speed manual. So, if I'm correct, I think it's going to be one of the first. I'm not sure. Man, am I going to be one of the first X63 manual transmission?
You should be the world's first manual transmission F10 BMW M5 with the built engine.
That's what I'm thinking. In theory, yeah. I'm going to research
this on the internet.
I'm going to look at YouTube again. Yeah. I did some searching a couple days ago. I didn't see any, but I could be wrong.
If you can't find them on the internet, it doesn't count. So
it doesn't count.
You get the trophy.
So let me show you how meticulous he is. So we're sizing the bore. Yeah. Yep. To get the right pistons and rods and all that stuff. So I'm going to show you how he does his stuff.
So the first thing we need to do is determine if we can reuse stock bore pistons, and most importantly, we need to measure out of round. Out of round, this is not a perfect circle. As much as it looks as a perfect circle, this is an X shape. So we need to come in here and measure across our thrust axis, which is gonna be here, and our non-thrust axis. 3 measurements down this axis, 3 measurements down on this axis. Those numbers will equate with an equation to be able to tell us how bad is that egg shape or out of round. Also, what's super important is this shiny coating you see. You can't feel it, but you can see it. All right, this is a Nicosil coating. Now Nicosil, it's iron that gets sprayed at a really, really high temperature onto these liners, and that creates a barrier to reduce friction between the walls and the pistons. So we're gonna use a micrometer, a dowel bore gauge, and a micrometer. This is important. It's a 3 to 4 inch micrometer because the measurement we're looking for is between 3 and 4 inches.
Right.
You always wanna make sure you zero your mic, set your mic to 3 inches, see right there, which we did already. So we're probably closer to 4 over here, and we're gonna have to come in to get our measurement. Dowel bore gauge, very important that you wear gloves. The heat from your hands will affect the measurement. Very important that you use alcohol to properly clean these walls, these liners, before you take the measurement. Also, grab a coffee filter or printer paper, and you just come in here. I already did this, but you'd be surprised. What this coffee filter is going to do is pick up any residual oil that may be on your walls that will actually give you a bigger number, a larger measurement, which you don't want.
You want precise.
As precise as possible.
Precise as possible.
So we're gonna come in real quick, okay? And you will see, I gently drop the dowel bore gauge down in there. Now this is how you use this tool. We're gonna start at the top. We're gonna drop it about a 1/2 inch down on our thrust axis. All right, and what we're looking for is where that needle stops bottoming out toward me, or in this case, toward the right.
Towards you.
At 12 o'clock. So see where that needle comes here, and then it stops, and then it goes back, right? So where it goes back and it stops, that's our 0. You simply just can't drop in stock bore pistons without doing a quick hone. You have to clean this hone up, but you can only hone it out if you're within tolerance. So 89 is where we need to be, right? Our allowable out of round is 1 thou. We really shouldn't be beyond 1 thou.
Okay.
We already have a reference point of 89.052.
Right, so this
And we already know at the bottom of this cylinder,
it's about,
we're about 1.5 thou larger than 89.052.
okay.
Now, to add on top of that, when we come in here and we hone this out, we're gonna be way too big for stock bore pistons. So I'm using a determination based on what I measured on this cylinder so far, which I believe is cylinder number 4. Front 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Just on cylinder 4, that unfortunately we're gonna have to come in here. We're gonna be right at the cusp, okay? If we do a quick hone and drop in stock bore pistons, we're gonna be right at that maximum limit for allowable tolerances. If not over, right there, which means in 20,000 miles, 10,000 miles, 8,000 miles, you call me, we're smoking from the rings.
They're rubbing, yeah.
Right? So it can't be done. You're gonna have to sleeve this block. You have to drop in sleeves. And now check this out. We can always use our reference, 89052, right? All these liners are cleaned with alcohol and our coffee filter. So if we come here to cylinder number 3, we're gonna use our 0 as a reference to what we measured here, just to see how far off we're at. So if we look here, this is pretty cool. So cylinder 4, okay, is a little under 1 thou larger. See that?
It's a little different.
Slightly larger.
Oh.
So our measurement from here to here on cylinder 3 is slightly larger than number 4.
What causes that? Why would there be such a difference? Just time?
So heat. Heat is a big contributing factor to everything you see in the internals on this engine. Let's go to 2 real quick. Same deal, slightly larger.
Than the first one.
Yep, then number 4.
Number 4, yeah.
And see this one? This one's exactly on 1.
That's crazy.
All right, this one is exactly 1 thou larger over here. So now we're gonna take 89.052 and add 1/1000th of an inch to number 1. So we can't even, now we're taking into consideration what we would need to do to hone this out.
Right.
We cannot use stock bore pistons on number 1. We would have to go in there and sleeve it and drop, iron sleeves down.
So that's what's going to be across the board then?
Oh yeah, you can't get away with just sleeving 1.
Right.
And you can even use your 89052 as a reference for the rest of them. So this one's about 1.5. This one's about 1, a little over 1. So yeah, and then we didn't even take, now we can technically come in here, right? And we can reference our non-thrust access. See that?
Oh wow.
Yeah, what's that, 2,000?
2,000, yeah.
Give or take. So 2,000ths of an inch larger on our non-thrust access compared to
Stock factory.
factory bore, right? And so to give you guys a visual, what's gonna happen is that coating, it's called your thrust access because that is the part of your cylinder wall, your liner. That's the part that's going to take this piece of your skirt on the piston. All right, so this is actually what's making contact with that thin layer of oil.
Interesting.
All right, so
okay.
this skirt on this piston, that in theory, it should never come in contact metal on metal. It's
Right.
gonna ride on a very thin layer of oil. And if you look carefully, you can see some wear where that coating started to come off from your liners from the skirt. And then you can see the actual wear on the skirt. So unfortunately, because of that coating and our numbers, we're gonna have to go in here and bore this out and drop in sleeves.
Interesting.
Yeah, you're right there, right? We'd be way too close. And it's one of those disclaimers where anyone else would say, yeah, you know, you could probably get away with it, but you might have an issue sealing those rings on the walls down the road.
But putting sleeve in the block, does it make it stronger?
Yes. Yes, you will actually reinforce your cylinder walls by dropping in your iron sleeves. And on top of that, we're also going to O-ring your block. So we're going to machine a receiver
like
groove
like
into
the
here.
N54.
N54, N55,
They
S55s.
have that,
Correct.
yeah.
Actually, at least right there, you can see a ring. You'll see. So this is technically a ring for a cut ring head gasket. There, we cut it. You smack it in with a flat piece of aluminum, and then what's going to happen is when you put your head on, the head's going to squish that copper. Exactly. And then all of your boost, in theory, should stay contained in your combustion chamber, and you'll never lift the head. And then you, in theory, with sleeves and a bottom end, you have an engine ready for 1,500 horsepower to the wheels. Not that you'll ever necessarily get to that point.
I won't use that.
Yeah. So, but
Never say never.
yeah, never say never.
Right.
Never say never. So,
Right.
and then in addition, right? Again, we do need to measure your crank. Okay, that's going to get done with this mic. So this same mic,
Same thing.
We're going
for
to use
that.
a 2 to 3 inch mic, I believe. We're going to come in here, and that mic is going to drag the contacts carefully across our journals. Okay. Then what we're going to do is reference the number we have on that mic, like we just did.
Yeah.
And we're able to get an actual measure in diameter of all of our journals.
So,
And then we reference BMW specifications.
So what would be, if that's out of spec, what do you
You
usually
would
do for
oversize
that?
the bearings.
Yes, which
Oh,
if-
that's the bearings.
yeah,
Okay.
or depending how you look at it,
Oversized.
undersize,
it.
oversized, you're gonna
Yeah.
cut
Got
the
it.
crank, right? So what would happen is you would actually cut the crankshaft and you would run a larger bearing to compensate for
that.
what you took off. Yeah. Now I do need to check, I don't proclaim to be an expert on any of this stuff.
Right.
But the S55, for example, you cannot cut the crankshaft. BMW tells you S55 crankshaft cannot be cut. You cannot run undersized,
So
oversized bearings.
if that's the case of this, what do you do?
You have to get another crankshaft.
You gotta get a whole new
Whole new
crankshaft?
Yeah, but this crank looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah, the crank looks
Snap,
good.
that's
Yeah, and the crank is actually savorable because you caught this in time. So eventually, what's
Yeah,
going to
I was
happen is
joking, yeah.
when you spin a rod bearing and you keep trying to start the car or drive it, what's going to happen is, so this is our mains, right? So this is our main journal, main journal, main journal, main journal, main journal.
Okay.
This is our connecting rod journal, right? So essentially, this is actually pretty cool to show you. Your crankshaft is going to be spun off your timing chain. And that's going to spin your cam gears.
Okay.
And then this, the bearing's on here, so I can put this on the actual journal. And what happens is your crankshaft moves, this is going to go up and down in your actual cylinder.
Right.
So when you spin that connecting rod bearing, heat will start to literally eat the metal off of your journal, and that's when usually you're too far gone. And a lot of shops, a lot of machine shops, they'll come in here and they'll run an oversized bearing on one journal, right? And that's technically, while in theory, scientifically, mathematically, it can work.
Right.
Dude, you came this far. You came this far, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Just either source another crank, a good used crank, right? Or just don't move forward.
But S63, I mean, they have high failure rates, right? How hard would it be to find a crank?
A good used crank?
A good used crank.
That's an oxymoron in and of itself. A good used crank, right? It's going to be hard to find a good.
Most of them are messed up already.
Comparison like that.
Before I get out of here, I gotta show you guys these factory turbos, man. Like, they knew what they were doing when they made these. It's a pretty good size.
That's what she said.
Turbos are good. Clutch and flywheel actually looks really, really good. Almost new. So, looking for some positivity here. There you go. All right, guys, as you can see, the secret is out. We are fully building the M5, one of the first S63 manual transmission that I know of. If I'm wrong, guys, look it up. Let me know in the comments below. Are you guys looking forward to this build? What's going on? You guys let me know below as well. All right, I'm gonna keep you guys posted. I got another video to continue, so if you see me in the same outfit, know why, all right? But anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Ambitious, and when it comes to this rap shit, I'm too damn vicious. I'm top 5 in my city. One song and it's better than all 5 in the city. I take pride in my city. If you're looking for talent, there's a lot in my city. But the jealousy and envy is dividing my city. Still I scream anger with till there's all eyes on my city. Are you riding out with me?